Hello, and welcome to week 11's Letter to Past Self. So, this week, mostly of what I was doing was writing the rest of the script, adding the level, and adding the rest of the levels into the game for the past scenes and stuff, making sure that they were at least have all the text implemented into all the scenes and had some thought of placement in them. That was my goal. So I started off this week by finishing off with implementing all the levels. I just like before with the first level, I asked Kirby to implement my design of the car trip into his version of into his version of what he believes the car scene's gonna look like from my script. From my not script from the level block out and stuff. And that went pretty smoothly, and out of all of them is the most complete looking level. And I also made it sure that there was colliders in all the walls and stuff to make sure that no one can leave or enter, and tested the level and felt that it worked quite nicely. This was also the first time in which transferring the level to the script became a little bit of a weird issue, in which the script that was currently written wrote and sounded like they were in the car and needed to be visibly in the car. We didn't have enough time to implement this feature, so we decided to just have it on the outside and just rework the script on the fly a little bit, as well as proofreading, obviously, to make sure that it looked and can feel like they're walking to the sign, and can see the fact that it is that they're a couple of like miles away, and that, well, kilometers I should say, and that they're unable to walk that distance away, so it does feel like they're walking to a town and they're staying in the car, because that was the smartest decision and the overall design of writing that script. Huh. I also added in the house scene, which was pretty easy to do because that was copying what Ava has done for the present scene, but copying it to the past, and then editing different things. I had made a new terrain and figured out how to edit it so that it looked nicely and looked a lot more smooth, as well as uh, implementing implementing different things to make it feel like it was more of the past instead of the present. The present looking one where there's dead trees and stuff. I added in trees and made it a small. Actually, I took the trees from the car scene and copied about a cluster of them, and then plopped them into that particular past scene with the house, and then copied it and then kept placing in more and more trees. I did this for both the house and also for the foresty area, because the foresty area was lacking in those particular elements. I also I also from that week, I finished playing the garden between, and it helped me understand on how the placement of objects really kind of help to set you into the scene of where you're taking and stuff, because the garden between is this like abstract postmodern, I'm going to say, look and art style. It was very surreal, in which case we have the two main protagonists where they're small but everything around them has been upscaled dramatically and like over the top, and a lot of the levels incorporated of them from the memory that they're trying to remember, as well as that we're learning, and the level was designed around those particular memories, such as when they're in a museum and stuff. The entire level is built around a dinosaur skeleton, and in the background you can see a red velvet rope, indicating that like this is this is a museum. At first, I didn't completely get the picture, but after seeing all the elements there, after replaying it, I could see the fact like, oh, this was subvertively making me believe. I caught onto this really quickly and really fell in love of me trying to figure out what exactly was this memory going to be about, because it gave you in pieces of what every single level was going to look like. And this was really really cool to like things. So when I was finding like different assets to use, haven't implemented them in yet, but like to use, I decided and focused on looking for those particular things with with finding like animals and stuff to use as like stuffed toys, being more like Australian animals because we typically have that, or sea or Dreamworld tiger because everyone had one of those, and using particular kind of trees, sizing and shaping to even get a more clearer picture of this is Australian landscape because we wanted to be based around Brisbane, and that really helped. For the text placements and stuff that helped me with these levels was mostly focused on Edith Finch and looking to what they did. This was both using the correct color tones to make the text popped out, as well as where the text is being placed. Edith Finch had two things in which they would place the text either on the wall or would have the text follow you on the screen, like a billboard kind of style ish, where if you would move, you would always be looking at the text, or if you or the text would be placed somewhere in the scene and it would just follow as you looked around. So when I was implementing these levels plus the script, I had to use what Edith Finch was doing and learning to construct and create a cohesive thing. One of the levels that I'm going to talk about, which is I think my bestest one of incorporating Edith Finch's style of text as well as using the garden between object placement, is the past packing scene, where I used where I used the text to like lead the player to different directions. I used the first sentence as an extender, as a literal line to pointing to where the player was going to go, and had the text fade in and fade out at particular times when they either walked into them or past them. So the first line leads the player from the living room into the hallway, and then the next text is on the stairs, saying this is where the child is, and leading them down this particular hallway. From there, I had placed the next bit of text where I inserted it slightly into the room that the player needed to go, as an indicator of like, I need to look into this room and peer into this room. So when the player walked straight, they turned around and looked left and could see. Well, at the moment it's an empty room, but they could see the fact that the conversation was happening on the wall, the left side representing the parent's voice and the right side of the wall representing the child's voice. And I used a lot of the attitude that the kid was using to indicate how quickly and how fast that the text was appearing. Long enough, obviously, so that the player can read, but slow enough to be like, yeah, whatever, sure, fine, to like indicate that attitude when constructing this. And that was my using both of these two games to help me construct and create uh, particular levels within. I also spent this week finished writing the the person reflection memories, keeping them roughly about 5 lines to keep them nice and short, as well as to make sure that they don't stay objectively very long in the present scene where they're reflecting. I want it to be very short so the player doesn't feel like they're trapped in the memories and stuff, like the trapped in the fireplace. So that was my like idea in writing this. I also kind of wanted the child to always say the first line. They always spoke the first line because they are initiating the conversation, because they want to ask questions about the reflection, as well as uh, making sure that the child is the one that is like understanding. I want the child to be questioning and then the parent to be reassuring, so that the lessons were sticking to the play, to both the player and the child. And yeah, I got that done. Anyway, this is the end of week 11's Letter to Past Self. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys next week, where we're going to talk more about the other finishing off the levels, mostly polishing, as well as changing the scenes so that they fit more with the script. Okay, bye.